Hello, everyone. My name is Betsy, and today I'm going to be sharing with you this journal. I completed this art journal this year earlier when I participated in the 100-day project. So let's take a look at all these drawings. There's 100 of them, so it's a pretty big one. It's got a lot of stuff in here. I'm going to do my best to explain things very briefly because there is a lot going on in here. So first of all, this journal I did make it myself. It does have some quirks, but we'll be talking about that as we go through it. So let's just go ahead and get started here. So here we have the first one. For the most part, what you're going to be seeing in a lot of these is that it's mostly ink work. So I just use a simple pen like this. It's just a ballpoint pen. I tried not to use anything special. Occasionally, I do have some nice pens. I do have an occasional micron or something like that lying around. And when you see here the shading, all of that is done with pencil, just a regular pencil. And the color that we have here is colored pencil. So, and I will be explaining whenever there's anything different, something other than that. So here's the second one, very abstract. Now, one thing that I did do for myself to help myself make progress, because I was making one of these each day. So for 100 days, one drawing each day. I didn't do this all on that day. I had already sketched out a bunch of it. And then when the day came, I completed it. So here's number 3. And again, some of this was already sketched out. I'd already drawn in the circles and some of these contours here, some of these lines. I just had a general idea of what I wanted to do. And this was sketched out before, could have been months before. So whenever I would get an idea that I really wanted to try out, I would sketch it in. And that way, when the 100-day project, when that day in February came around, I already had a lot of sketches in this book. Here's day 4. Looks like flowers, these sort of flowers growing with some leaves around it. Day 5, these sort of longer leaves. Again, this is all ink, and the shading is done with pencil. The background here, I scribbled it out. So lots of scribbling back here. Here's day 6. I like this one a lot more. I tend to like using a lot of circles or creating lots of orbs. So this one I really liked a lot. So one of the quirks that I talked about for this journal was because I did build it myself. The papers are of different types. So this right here is a white paper, and this is an ivory colored paper. So you're going to be seeing that throughout. If you notice the color changing in the sheets, that's because it is. The papers are different. I just had the ends of different reams. And so I decided to just kind of gather them all up and made one book out of all of them. So these were all just kind of leftovers. So here's day 7. Decided to color them. I had fun with the colors, but I didn't like the background very much. I think that's something I would change if I did this again. Day 8. This is one of my favorites. I really like the way this really got layered on top of each other. I think my favorite part are these swirls right here. And I really like these weird little bulges here with the circles. I liked that a lot too. I keep telling myself that I want to try this again, and I never have the time. So I'll probably try drawing this again sometime soon. Number 9. Some parts I don't like, but the overall setup I love. I love that overall everything looks really good together. I like this pattern right here. I like that one a lot. That's another one that I need to try again soon. Number 10. This one's very similar to the like 2 back with the purple. This one's very similar to that one. I was just doing another type of that. Lots of organic forms and a couple of orbs. Came out pretty good. 11. This is another one of my favorites. I just love the way these look like abstract little clouds. It's pretty good. 12. I'm not as fond of this one, but There were little details here that I liked, because what I did here is I didn't really know what I wanted to draw. So I just drew these lines right here to create separations, and then just put a pattern inside of each one and shaded it. That's what happens when I don't know what I want to do. So something that I really liked here was this pattern right here, and I liked the one here with the little swirls. This one's really nice. Might try that again soon. 13. I think this was another one of those days that, well, it's not that I needed to decide what to draw, but I had already sketched in a large flower, and then I just decided to do this with it. I wasn't entirely happy with it, but again, it's a learning opportunity. So there it is, just a pretty big flower. This one, I believe I made a reel for this on Instagram. So if any of you are over there on Instagram, around this date, the 7th of March, there should be a reel where I showed how I did this. It was really interesting because the background is paint. It's a black gesso. And then this color here in the front is a gold colored pencil. It was a lot of fun. Day 15. So for this one, I was trying out this Zentangle pattern, and then I realized partway through that I messed up somewhere. There was some part of it that I was supposed to do differently, and so I guess I just ran out of time that day, and I just left it alone. I added in this black paint afterwards to cover up some stuff that I messed up here, and I had every intention of coming back and editing or fixing it somehow, but I just decided to leave it alone. It's a good little reminder that sometimes things don't go as planned, and so I'm deciding to just leave it like this. And so here we are for day 16, and I'm a lot happier with this one. I just really wanted to show kind of like a yellow versus pink, and this turned out really nice. I'd like to try doing this one again too. Maybe with different colors or slightly different patterns, but I'd like to try that. I liked it a lot. So here we are, 17. I did my swirls again, these kind of coils. I did those. I was really focusing on getting that contrast between the blue and the orange. So that's really nice. So you can see that I'm really just trying to like experiment and try different things out. Here's number 18. And I can't quite explain what it is about this one. I like it a lot, but there's some parts of it that I don't like, but I can't put a finger on it. Like I can't decide. It could simply be the shading that I could have done the shading differently. And so if I ever do this one again, I might try to focus more on the shading so that I can do it just a little better. See if I can fix that. This was a pretty good attempt. I liked it. Here's number 19. This one took forever to color. I don't know why. It just took forever. Maybe it's just that it was a vast space. This is colored pencil. And I do remember that the inking all of these little pieces in also took forever. I didn't even do any shading back here, even though I know I wanted to. But it was a lot of fun. 20, I actually did some coloring on this one, so this is pretty good. It was fun. It was nice and simple. I didn't have to do any shading. I just did these nice gradients with the colors. Just had fun making a little rainbow. So here we have number 21, and this one again was already partially drawn in. At some point, I had some idea of something I wanted to do here. So this was sketched in up to here. And then on the day I came in and just added details and added all of these leaves and stuff. Let's see here. So number 22, again, this one was about, let's say, 30% done already. And then I came in and added the pencil, did the rest of the patterns down here. So that was good. On most of these days, on a good day, I might spend about 2 hours doing a drawing, but I admit that on some days it was taking twice that or triple that. It just depended on the day. If I had a lot of work or not, I just tried to do my best. So here on number 23, I tried to recreate that Zentangle pattern, and I did it correctly this time. If I recall, I think this one's called African Artist. I think that's what it's called. If any of you know, let me know if that's what it's called. So here we are on day 24. This one is has got to be one of my favorite ones, at least in this book. I just really wanted to do pink, so I did it. And I know that part of what had happened is after doing all these patterns in these spheres, I got a little tired of adding patterns, and I decided to just have a bunch of spheres that were simply colored in pink, and it just turned out amazing. I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. We'll definitely try again. It was really good. For 25, I just kept it simple. Just decided to do this abstract sort of flower inspired. You can kind of see where these would be petals. So we're in the middle of March right here. 26. This one is really interesting. It's kind of funny. I know that I started off with the idea of a flower. You can definitely see the flower here, but then I gave it tentacles. And so this is what happens when I experiment. I make these little weird organic monsters. So here it is, a flower with the tentacles. So this is just the reminder it's okay to experiment, have fun, make weird things. Weird stuff is okay. And here's another reminder for day 27. I know that on this day I did do something, but I didn't put it in here. I can't even quite remember what it is I did that day. But as far as this drawing that was already sketched in, you can see here's the line work. A couple of flowers. There seemed to be some vines around here. And I had started, but I just wasn't feeling it that day. I just wasn't feeling it. So this is the reminder of, yeah, sometimes it's not going to happen. And so I decided to just leave it here like this. It's okay. I didn't need to try to make my book terribly impressive. I just wanted to leave it like this. So on day 28, I just did these kind of silly flowers, nice big flowers with some leaves, a few decorations around, and then the shading is done in pencil. So for day 29, I did go a little further. I think here I used a different marker. I must have used a Sharpie marker because the lines are really thick. They're much different than they would have been if I'd used a regular pen. My favorite leaves and a few of my other designs that I really like to do a lot. Here's day 30. Again, you can really see the difference between the two types of paper right here. This is gray paper and this is the ivory paper. And I don't even know what these shapes are. I kept it very abstract. They almost look like the top of a parasol, like you're looking at an umbrella from above. It's just some weird shapes and I just merged them all together here. I was just testing things out. Let's see here. So we're on day 31 here. This I really liked this one a lot. I'm not happy with exactly how it turned out, but that's okay. I was testing out how things would look. I was trying out all these orbs again. That was fun. I didn't put any patterns in them, and I think that was a good decision to just do orbs that are colored in and only focused on putting in lots of texture on some of these other parts, like this one right here. Lots of texture, lots of color. This here, and some of these little things in the background. So overall, I like the way it turned out. Let's see here. We're on day 32, and I don't remember the details, but I was frustrated with this one. Something just wasn't feeling right, and I just did my best to finish it and then just moved on. That's cool. I learned a lot from it. So here we are on day 33, and I know that at this point, I was getting very tired because, as you can see, lots of full page spreads. This was a lot of work. And clearly, I had already gotten back here on day 27, I was already starting to get kind of tired. So by the time I got here, I clearly recall that I just was going to step back and not do this much work anymore each day. I had a lot of work to do outside of this, so I was going to start cutting it back. So this from this point on, there aren't as many full page spreads. There's only like the single, like the one-sided drawings. You'll see that more often after this. Here's day 34. So this was already me trying to give myself a break. This was something I had separately, and then I just cut it out and brought it in here and colored it just to give myself a break. So these are two abstract flowers. Day 35. I really liked this one. There was so much more I wanted to do with it, but at the time I just accepted that it was going to be like this. You can see there's little spots that I didn't finish. There's a lot of shading I wanted to do, but I didn't do it. So this is one I'd like to again do later if I could. For day 36, this is another one that I had in my just in my stash of things, and I cut it out and glued it in here and just focused on doing the shading. So all of this depth that you see here, it's all done in pencil. So that's all I did that day. For day 37, I did these little ropes. I think I did the same thing. Yep. For day 38, I did more ropes. It's kind of messy. I think my marker died, so I ended up using a different marker here. So for day 39, I wanted to try to do a full page spread again, but it just wasn't working for me. I didn't like the way this turned out, but I got it done. And it happens. It's just I can't even quite put my finger on it. It's just a feeling, or it could have just been the way that I was feeling that day, that it just didn't turn out the way I wanted to. So on day 40, so what I did here is there's going to be a handful of these, I think that whole week. So it's about 6 or 7 drawings where I just glued in work that I'd done previously. Like this one in particular is a coloring page from my digital coloring book. So I just shrunk it and got it in here. I glued it and just did some light coloring and just had fun with colors for that day. So for 41, same thing. This is a drawing that I'd done before. I just made a copy of it and just had fun coloring it. Also, 42, this was a drawing that I'd done about a year before. So I made a copy of it and just focused on maybe just coloring here and adding some shading with the pencil. So I am using my own work. I'm just kind of coming back to it now and editing. Just so that I'm doing something every day, because that was the goal of the project, was just to like work on my skills every day. This is also one that I glued in here. It was from the like around a year before, and I just focused on coloring it. 44, this one's also from my coloring book. Again, I shrunk it down and glued it in here. Just had fun coloring all these little orbs. This is also from my coloring book. I know that some of you have gotten copies of it, so thank you so much. I do tend to link that in the description of my videos. I usually have a link to my Gumroad account, and there is a link there to my coloring book, and it's only $5. If you want to try it out, it's in there. So let's see here. We're on day 46, and I finally moved on to drawing in the book again, and I did a full page spread. I like the way this one turned out. I really did. The colors were nice. I was happy to be back to actually drawing in here, and it turned out pretty nice. For 47, this was a page that I already had in my stash, and I just cut it out and decided to just do coloring. I think I colored this with alcohol markers. So that was something that was, I'm not as comfortable with using alcohol markers, but I used it here. And then I came in and did shading with a pencil. So that was interesting. For 48, you'll notice that I'm alternating. So like, I think at this point I start doing I go all in and do a drawing like this, and then I'll switch the next day to doing something a little less intense. But this was one of those days where I spent a lot of time just creating all sorts of little doodly designs, and I just had a lot of fun with this one. I love the way this one turned out. I really love the way it turned out. The colors, everything. It was a lot of fun. It's really vibrant and alive. So this is one of my favorites for sure. For 49, this was just blue ink, and then with some orange colored pencil around the edge, did my favorite leaves here again. So that was pretty nice. For 50, I just made some simple flowers. Just had fun doing something familiar. For 51, I think this is definitely another one of my favorites. I like it when it's just totally abstract. I know that at the time I was definitely thinking of black holes and wormholes and all sorts of strange things out in space. And so this was one of the things I wanted to draw. Almost looks like an eyeball right here. It's really interesting. I liked this one a lot. So for number 52, this is one thing again where I took some of my artwork that I'd previously done. This was a digital drawing, and then I printed it, got it in here, and then I added more to it. You can see a bunch of white ink up here. There's a little bit of white charcoal. There's ink, black ink throughout, and I just tried to edit it just to see what else I could do to it. I like this one a lot too. Came out really good. Here's 53. I do have a reel of this on my Instagram account. I liked this one with the blue and the orange. It came out really good. So here I have number 54. I hope I'm not saying it too often. I keep saying that they're my favorites, but this really is one of my favorites. I loved this one so much. I was again thinking a lot of black holes, and I just wanted to show just how everything swirls and kind of goes down into this tunnel. So this is the beginning of a bunch of drawings that I do after this that I call portals. This was definitely the beginning of that. I love this one so much. So here for 55, I did some very familiar organic forms. So just they look sort of like leaves, like mushrooms or fungi growing. 56, I did the same thing. Just lots of organic forms growing. I like doing this a lot here. I don't know why I don't do this more often because I do like doing it a lot. So I'm going to try to remember to incorporate that into more of my drawings. 57, I finally did a full page spread on this day. This I was in the right mood. So I started in this corner and then I grew outward from there. Added some things here that look almost like flowers and then other things that just this is my favorite part of it right here. This strange sinuous kind of texture here with all these little holes on the edge. That's my favorite part. Let's see here. So we're on 58 now. I did draw on a note card and I wasn't drawing at home. I did include this on my Instagram page as a photo tutorial if anybody wants to check that out on how to do these kind of ropes. So here we have 59. I don't draw faces very often, so this was actually really frustrating. I did my best, so I just wanted to have a face and then have her hair be all sorts of different patterns. That was a lot of fun. For number 60, I drew on a note card again. This is a large note card. And more of my organic shapes. I like the way this one flows a lot. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. This one was good. Okay, so we're moving on here. This is number 61, and I just kept it simple. Just drew a flower and a few shapes. I did this one really quickly. So I must have just not had very much time to work that day, and I decided to just keep it simple for this day. So here we are on number 62. And I also have a video of this on my Instagram account where I'm coloring it. And I don't quite remember what this pattern is called. I fell in love with it. Now what I do know is that I got a where I saw the photos for this were on Annie Oken's website. So if any of you know her, she does these amazing classes. I'm not one of her students, but I do like to visit her blog a lot. So her name is Annie Oken and she has a website. So just look her up. You'll see she's got lots of gorgeous things on her website. And so I tried doing that pattern again on day 63. I didn't have enough time to come through and do any shading, but I did try it again. You can see here that I had every intention of making it larger, but I just didn't have the time, so I just stuck to that one side. And that was good enough. It was good enough for that day. If I do have the time, I'd like to do this again, but actually do the whole drawing. That would be really nice. So here we are on day 64. And I recreated that sort of eyeball looking thing that I'd done a week or two prior. I just really wanted to focus on doing that. Just one eyeball, very abstract. I have a lot of fun doing these. I like these as much as I like the organic forms. This is still also an organic form, but I like this the most. This is where I'm at my most intuitive, at my most free. And I just go in and I just work freely and just allow myself to do just whatever comes to mind. So this is usually the result of that kind of an exercise. And this is kind of funny because I wrote 64 again, and I don't know what happened. I really, really can't explain it. But when I was creating these, I wasn't numbering them anymore. I was just making them. I would just work that week and make a bunch of drawings. And it wasn't until I was pretty much done with the project that I realized I made an extra drawing. So I don't know what happened. So we have a bonus one. There's actually 101 drawings in this book. So there you go. Here's the drawing. So now we're actually on 65. Don't know how it happened. It's just weird. You would think I would have just kept numbering them just and then end up at 101 at the end, but I didn't. So here's 65. This sort of, it almost looks like a pineapple, but round. I really liked this one. I liked doing it and practicing making it look like an orb. I liked that one a lot. That was fun. For day 66, just these simple, flatter patterns. I imagine this would be really good for the background of a drawing where there's something else in the foreground and this could be in the background, just kind of adding a texture. So as an exercise, this was a lot of fun. I liked it. So here on day 67, if I recall, I think my hands were tired that day. So this is in towards the end of April. So yeah, my hand was definitely tired and it's a little wonky, it's a little wobbly, and that's fine. It's fine. It's not as refined as some of the other drawings, but just sometimes I don't have the time or sometimes my hands won't cooperate, and this is the reminder of that. That it's okay to just let it be the way it's going to be. For 68, I decided to come back to those portals. So here's what that was. I decided to frame it in though. It was a lot of fun framing it. And then just allowing those patterns to just swirl around and around and around. I like that one a lot. You'll see that I'm going to end up doing a lot more of those portals. So here we have lots and lots of stuff going on here. Because the paper was ivory colored, I decided to do a lot of highlighting with a white charcoal pencil. So that's what you're seeing here. I'm going to bring it up so you can see it a little closer. So the white that you see there, that's white charcoal. Okay. So we're going on to number 70. Here's that pattern again. I think because some people had asked, they wanted to see how this was done. I showed some of my steps for how I completed that. But again, this isn't my pattern. It's a Zentangle design that I really enjoyed. And I still want to add it into a lot of things. I like the way it looked. A lot of people said it looked like skeletal ferns. It kind of does. It's a lot of fun. 71, I just wanted to do a bunch of patterns, but then it ended up looking kind of like there was a bunch of snakes in a box. And it does. It looks like the snakes are taking little snake naps. It was really interesting. So that was fun. So here is number 72, and I was just experimenting with kind of like curls. So this material that's kind of curled up, and I wanted to just try doing a bunch of those. And then I added another pattern in between. As you can see, I didn't even frame it in or anything. I was just practicing. 73, again, I was just going with a whole bunch of organic forms. There's almost like this flower starting here. And then working out from there, I just added a lot of different things. So right here, these are familiar. I do these a lot, but this was new. All of this, they look like cables or like wires that are all tangled up. This was new and I had a lot of fun with that. I know that that's something else that I want to keep trying. See if I can make any improvements on that. For 74, I think I was just tired. I'm not really happy with the way this turned out. It doesn't have much personality, but I guess that's just how I felt that day. I probably needed to get some sleep. So I did this really quickly just to make sure I had an exercise done that day, and then I just moved on. So here we are on day 75. So there's going to be a handful of these where I glued in again work that was previous work of mine. So I made a copy of this, brought it in, and then just added more white ink and black ink and just kept improving on it. So I ended up doing a bunch of stippling here, and I did some shading. I can see some of the pencil here. It's kind of shiny, white ink, and just kind of tried improving it because I know it didn't have so much depth before. So I added to that. That was a nice exercise. Same thing here, previous drawing, and then I just added to it, took away from it, added ink, white ink, black ink, and some graphite as well. So here we are in 77. I went back to drawing. I did put a video of this on my Instagram page as well. I tried to do this one fairly quickly, and it just kind of grew out from there. So here's 78. This is one that I glued in as well. This was previous artwork that then I added here, and then I edited. I don't think I edited it too much. There's some shading and some ink going on, but I didn't have too much time that day, so I just kept it simple. Again, this is the same thing. This is a previous drawing, and then I just came in and added more. Just tried to see if I could improve it a little. For 80, this one was a sepia pen. And if any of you have seen some of my other videos here on YouTube, you'll see that I do have some time-lapse footage of this drawing. That's when I was first testing out how to do recordings of this kind of thing. This is my favorite part, is this conch right here, this shell. I like this a lot, and I do want to use that again in future drawings. That's my favorite part of this one. 81, created these flowers that just kind of swirl around. This was really cute. I want to try this again. I want to see if I can make it look a little more refined. I'll come back to that later. For this one, I drew some shards. I was thinking of like shards of glass when I did this. This was fun. So here for 83, I went back to my usual organic forms, but I really wanted to like accentuate all of these petals coming out, and I just love the way this one came out. I really love this one. I might try to make this one like a digital image, and I want to see if I can improve on it and maybe turn it into a print. This one is one of my favorites. I at least want to have it up on my wall because I just enjoy it so much. So here for 84, this is from my coloring book again. So I just cut it out and I decided to just focus on the shading here. For 85, this is ink. I think this is that sepia pen again. So it's that brown. I was just testing things out. For 86, I went back to that design earlier that I really liked, and I tried to see if I could do another version of it. It came out pretty good. I really like this area in the center a lot, just the way everything is growing out. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. So for 87, let me check. Yeah, so this is the way that it bleeds right here. This right here. That means that it's alcohol marker. It tends to bleed through a lot. So what I did here is, after I did my line work with the pen, I colored everything with an alcohol marker, just straight through. And then this deep blue that you see is a colored pencil. And then the highlights that you see is let me check, is a white charcoal pencil. So that was the order that I did that in. So here we are on number 88. Some more of my organic forms. Very flowing. This one was really good. So here we are. We're kind of nearing the end of May here. So we're coming up on the end. It's getting close. 89 more organic forms. I glued this one in. Did a lot of coloring. It's all color pencil. Actually, let me check. So it's not all color pencil. I think there's a little bit of a fine liner in there. That might be it. I'm not sure. A couple of things going on in there. Here's number 90. I did that thing again where I colored in with alcohol marker. And then I came in over the top and added white charcoal to kind of bring up those highlights. I like this one a lot. I'll certainly be doing it again. Very, very tangly, very flowing. It was a lot of fun. So here we are in number 91. This one is also from my coloring book. I know didn't have a lot of time that day. So I just worked on this one really quickly. Number 92. This one has a special story of its own, I suppose. But I was just being incredibly experimental and I wanted to see how this would turn out. I think it's kind of ugly, but ugly is okay. It's okay for it to be ugly. And I at least I'm okay with that. So I'm going to take a sip of my tea real quick. And so this is a reminder to myself that not everything is going to come out beautiful, and it's okay to expect that the experiments are going to come out just a little strange sometimes. So that's number 92. For number 93, I did this is a Zentangle pattern. I just wanted to try that one out here. And unfortunately, I don't quite remember what it's called. Some of you may know what it's called, but you know it's a pretty common Zentangle pattern. There's one thing that I really like about this one, and it's that there's actually some really interesting mathematics going on here, which I won't go into right now, but I like looking at this one and knowing that there are some interesting computations that are happening here when it's done like more precisely that create some really interesting results. So every time I look at that, I kind of geek out about that. It's a lot of fun. So here, number 94, you see I made another one of my portals. I'm going to bring it up a little closer. I just really love the way these portals came out. It was so good. So let's see here. I know I did a few more. Yep, here it is, number 95. I did another one. Changed the shapes just a little bit. You can see that all of the shading is done in pencil. So here on 96, I did another one. And if you do like this one, I did a photo tutorial of this on my Instagram account. You should be able to find that there. Here's another one. But this one looks more like we're in a dark cave and that's the sunlight. Like it's a tunnel. I like this one a lot. And then here's the next one, another tunnel. Again, let me show you the back. See all that back there? That's the alcohol marker. So it bleeds through a lot. Pretty much any paper. If any of you know of any paper where this won't bleed through, let me know. I'd like to try it out. I wonder if watercolor paper would be able to handle it, but I'm not sure it would. So that's what I did here. I used the alcohol marker for the blue. Did the line work with my usual pen, and then added highlights on the top. I'm going to bring it up just a little closer, see if that's clearer. I did those little highlights with that white charcoal pencil. I was really playing around with that a lot during those days. And I like it too. It turns out really interesting. So here's 99. I don't think this one came out too great, but that's okay. Got to learn from every exercise, every experiment, because I was pretty much nearing the end there. And so here's number 100. I was so happy I finally got there. So when I did the drawing, it's in here. When I did the drawing, I decided to just take about 3 days or so to finish it. So here it is. And I had to add it in on the end here because I accidentally added one too many. So this is actually drawing 101, but silly me, I don't know how to count. So here it is. That's the result. I just went all out and I just had a lot of fun with all the details. I made lots and lots of different designs and patterns. I had fun coloring it with a lot of fine liners. There's a little bit of colored pencil in here, but not much. And just had fun seeing what I could make if I take my time. And it was a lot of fun. So I was just so happy to get to the end here. And although I wouldn't recommend to everyone to do this every day like this, I do know that it was beneficial for me. On a few days, I was getting a little tired and I had to slow down, give myself a break. But overall, I learned a lot of valuable lessons about my own work ethic, my own workflow, and which parts of doing this stress me out and which parts are enjoyable. I know I do enjoy making the books, and I would like to show you guys later in another video how I make my books because I do love doing this a lot. And yeah, if you have any questions about any of these drawings, if there's any that you really like or any that you'd like me to recreate for you, because I am going to come back to so many of these and try to make them again, I'd love to show you how that happens. So let me know in the comments about any of that. I'm so glad that you were here. Thank you so much for joining me. This was an incredible adventure, 100 days of joy and stress and hard work, and here it is, all in my book. And I'm certainly going to do this again next year. There's a chance I may do this every year until my hands can't handle it. So this is a lot of fun. I learned so much, and I hope you enjoyed this. And I will see you again in the next one.